Lesson number 2. Your gifts and talents belong to God. As Christians, Daniel and his friends were faced with challenges but stood fast. How did they do it? We are told in Daniel chapter 1 verse 3 that the king instructed that some of these young men from Israel be brought to serve in the king's palace. So very early in the chapter, we learned that these young men were taken away from what they knew. They were taken captive and trained and taught something new. How do we know that? Because we are told that they would be taught the language and the literature of the Chaldeans for 3 years. Now, being in the king's presence, these young men must have taken that training very serious. So they must have had an in-depth knowledge of that new culture. There is no account in the history of Daniel where he allowed his newly acquired knowledge to change who he was becoming. What they now knew was different because they came from a place where the God of creation was worshipped, and they now lived in a place where a man-made image was being worshipped. However, these young men were able to remain true to what they knew. There are many things that could have served as distractions. One, their looks. We are told they were young men with no blemish but good looking. This is one of the qualities that allow them to be chosen by the king. However, in today's world, this is one of the qualities that so easily throw off guard our people. Their looks. It is so sad to see our beautiful young women and handsome young men wasting their lives away. They could have used their looks to get the prettiest women, but Daniel and his friends were not distracted by the things of this world. Number 2, they were gifted in all wisdom, possessing knowledge and quick to understand. These young men, we are told, were gifted in all wisdom. They knew true wisdom is from God and would not use this wisdom and knowledge in any other way but to glorify God. We are told in Daniel chapter 2 verses 17 to 18. Then Daniel went to his house and made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions, that they would desire mercies of the God of heaven concerning this secret, that Daniel and his fellows should not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. Daniel, even with what he knew, didn't put his wisdom ahead of what God is able to do for him and through him. But rather, he consulted with his friends and sought the help of God. Today, God's people blessed with knowledge, skills, and talents are sometimes forgetting where these gifts came from. Life decisions are made without consulting God first. God bless us with the gifts of understanding, which we can use to help another who are not so able to quickly understand. But we allow these opportunities to pass us by because we are too knowledgeable. Their wisdom, knowledge, and understanding could have been a distraction and used otherwise, but it was used to glorify God. Number 3, the opportunity to serve in the king's palace. So many people would give anything to serve in the king's palace. These young men had that opportunity and they did not allow it to become a distraction. They never got swell-headed in any way and lose track of accomplishing their purpose. They never allowed the thought of opposition to lead them into making decisions that will negatively impact their future. They remain true to God and allow God to push them into prominent positions. They grew up knowing exactly what we are being taught today, and that is to love and honor God and reflect His glory. And we are told that they remain true to what they believe, even after being taught and trained in a strange land. Sister White tells us in Messages to Young People, chapter 3, We are not to try to climb up to high positions or to gain the praise of men. Our aim should not be to be the greatest. We are to have an eye single to the glory of God. We are to work with all the intelligence that God has given us, placing ourselves in the channel of light that the grace of God can come upon us to mold and fashion us to the divine similitude. Daniel's understanding was from God, and we too have the privilege of having that understanding. In the same chapter 3 of Messages to Young People, we are again told, we shall be tested and tried. We may be called to spend wakeful nights, but let such times be spent in earnest prayer to God, that he may give understanding and quicken the mind to discern the privileges that are ours. We will meet obstacles, but after overcoming the first, the other one will become easier. Not everything that is placed before you is the right thing for you, ladies and gentlemen. Like Daniel, we need to seek God. Lesson number 3. Do not allow anyone to label you.